most fun this summer in Kansas City at Schlitterbahn Water Park. Great water slides, cool beaches, a tidal wave river, kids' water playgrounds, lazy rivers, and Casey's only uphill water coaster. And now for 2012, experience our latest and greatest attractions. Surf the Boogie Bond, Casey's only surf ride. Shoot the rapids of King Kaw, the longest whitewater adventure in the Midwest. Tube the Mighty Mo, and whirl face first through the high-in-the-sky turbulence of 3 new thrilling water slides. Schlitterbahn, Kansas City, now double the size and fun. Plus, at Schlitterbahn, you get the most value with free parking, free use of tubes, tables, and boogie boards. And you can even bring your own picnic. Go to Schlitterbahn.com to purchase discount tickets today.
It's the most fun. It's the hottest, coolest time in Kansas. We're going to Schlitterbahn. We're going to Schlitterbahn.
At Nelson Electric, they're here to take care of your next project. If you're in the market for a new furnace, why not check out the new Lennox SLP 98, officially the most efficient and quietest furnace you can buy, or the Lennox 95% two-stage EL 195 with power-saving technology. Thinking of a new air conditioner? You won't want to miss the new Lennox XC17, the most efficient single-stage air conditioner you can buy. Plus, this Lennox air conditioner can be solar-powered. That's right, a SunSource solar-powered air conditioner. You won't want to miss these and all the other great innovations from Lennox. Call the folks at Nelson Electric today. That's Nelson Electric for all your electrical plumbing, heating, cooling, backhoe, and trenching needs. State licensed in Iowa and Missouri. Locations in Lancaster, Kirksville, and Unionville. That's Nelson Electric.
It'll be sunny today with a high near 85 degrees. Tonight, skies should be mostly clear with the low right around 57. It'll be sunny tomorrow with a high near 90 degrees. Tomorrow night, mostly clear with a low of 64. And now we are calling for sunny skies on Thursday and a high near 90. I'm Rick Fisher. That's weather.
It's 74 degrees at KMAM.
This is the award-winning broadcast of Healthy University, bringing health and vitality to you and your family, brought to you by Scotland County Hospital in Memphis. Now, here's your host, Dr. Randy Tobler.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without crying. Now I want to...
Hey, how we doing? Thank you for being with us. Welcome to Healthy You. I'm Dr. Randy Tobler, along with Bud Wilson and Elisa Kiger. Full of smiles, good cheer, and much love for all of you.
How are you, Doctor?
I've told you before, if I was any better, I'd be twins.
I don't know if we could do that or not. Twins, ooh, my.
No, life's good. The weather's nice.
It
feels like September and August. I don't know. The weatherman's got... Rick's got things all screwed up with the weather this year.
I
don't know. He's got his calendar.
It's his fault. That's it.
It's all Rick's fault.
We've got it. We can blame Rick for it.
Oh, at any rate. Hey, we're going to be talking in just a few minutes with Nikayla Cook, who's a medical officer in the Clinical Applications and Prevention Branch of Cardiovascular Sciences at the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute. And that's our show for today, folks.
That's it. Have a good one.
And we have our own very special cardiac specialist today.
Yeah, supervisor of Scotland County Hospital Certified Cardiac Rehab.
And we're not going to tell you who she is.
Okay.
We introduce her.
Or what her
You'll
husband does.
have to stay on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, we cannot say.
But I think we can fairly say she has one of the most golden, brilliant, sunshine smiles in all of Northeast Missouri. Is that fair to say?
She's worked very hard for that.
That's right. When I have my big one, I can't wait to be cardiac rehab because she will bring sunshine into your life.
Well, she'll bring sunshine into your life, but I guarantee you it's not going to be a free ride.
No, she can make you work for that.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, we'll introduce her in just a moment. What's going on, Bud?
Well, we had a whole bunch of things going on at the hospital, and I suppose it would be as good a time as any to talk about. And the flu shot clinic is coming up Wednesday, September 19th. It's from 8 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. And this year it will be in the library building over east of Memphis Medical. It's open to the public, obviously, 9 years and older. And please bring your Medicare card with you. There are no out-of-pocket expenses. and there's no appointment necessary.
Now, what if someone has regular, like, private insurance from Mutual of Zilch brand or whatever? I mean, do they bring their card or do they not bring their card?
It's the Medicare card we're interested in.
Only the Medicare card.
Yeah.
Everyone else, just walk on in and get your shot.
If you are pregnant or think that you could be pregnant, is there anybody in here? Oh, never mind. Please tell the nurse so that a different vaccine can be administered that morning at that time.
Yeah. They do the preservative-free vaccine. Yeah.
And then we're going to have a booth at the Antique Fair this coming up weekend.
Wow.
In the courthouse yard, and the Ladies Auxiliary also will have a booth there, and they'll have a quilt that they're gonna have a drawing for, and the tickets are on sale. They're $1 for one or $5 for six. And then also the other thing, Doctor, I wanted to mention is the 5K run sponsored by Scotland County Hospital. This is at the Antique Fair. It'll be on Saturday morning on the east side of the square. And the actual 5K starts at 8 in the morning, but we will be open at 7 up there, and we will be live on the air. Yeah, somebody's there.
Are you live at 7 a.m., really?
We're going to be Saturday.
No. I'm not live on Saturday, period, let alone 7 in the morning. But anyway, so you can come down early and get registered if you haven't already. The fees for that, individual fee is $20. The same family household is $40, and of course all school-age kids, K through 12, special price is $10 anytime. There will be all kinds of awards: overall male, overall female, top 3 in age group, oldest participant, youngest self-propelled participant. I love that one. Largest household of. Just be a whole bunch of gifts and prizes and door prizes. It's always a really wonderful event, so we encourage you all to, Chrissy would say, you need to get active, and this is the way to do it.
Healthy activity.
That's right. Get active, as she cracks the whip and smiles.
Yeah.
And Elisa, we had a very successful skin cancer screening last week.
Yes, I heard lots of people.
Yeah, Dr. Thome saw like 35, almost 3 dozen folks. And
follow-up treatment
and
right
saw
here.
a lot of stuff, too. So it's good to get screened for skin
good.
cancer. And if you weren't able to make the free skin cancer screening, of course, you can always ask your doctor, whether it's Dr. Thome or any of our primary care people, or me or anyone, to take a look and make sure that they don't see anything that needs to be addressed.
Very good.
Okay.
Speaking of hearts, we all know that obesity is bad for the heart, but now there's a new research. I saw this story this morning that says that people who are obese in middle age, and do I qualify for middle age?
Sure. The answer is yes.
Okay.
In the Methuselah fraternity, yes. Yeah.
Doctor.
Rip Van Wilson, we call you, but that's okay.
People who are obese in middle age and who have high blood pressure or other metabolic risk factors experience faster mental decline.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
More inflammation.
Yeah.
Obesity means inflammation.
It's back to inflammation again, isn't it?
Yep. And perhaps that's a good segue and intro into our special in-studio guest, who is none other than Chrissy Siegfried, who is our new cardiovascular rehab specialist, supervisor, whatever. Is that your formal title?
Yes.
The supervisor.
Yes.
And she does have a golden smile, and it's just wonderful to have you
And
on. Thanks for being in.
Her husband works on the highway.
Yeah. His smile isn't always so golden if you meet him out on
No,
the highway.
if you
But no,
rolled-
actually, he is golden smile, but you're
He
usually not
does.
smiling when you
He
meet
does,
him.
and he's out there to protect us all. But
He is.
occasionally, when I roll the window down and say, "Yes, officer, I did see the speed limit sign. I just didn't see you."
All right.
Highway patrolman.
And to round out our discussion on cardiovascular issues is none other than Nikayla Cook, MD, MPH, and fellow of the American College of Cardiology. She's into prevention and public health, and really very important work looking at how to keep us all healthy when it comes to our cardiovascular profile. with the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, which is, of course, a division of the National Institutes of Health. So a very, very accomplished and highly credentialed person on the other end of the line. Thanks for being with us, Dr. Cook.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Michaela, you need somebody. You need to hire somebody to carry your letters.
I tell you what, we're going to step aside here, pay a few bills, and then when we come back, we're going to ask for your questions, folks, for our experts, Dr. Michaela Cook and Chrissy Siegfried.
Absolutely.
Anything about cardiovascular disease, preventing it, recovering from it. Chrissy will, a lot of people know her because they've, had a little issue, and she's helped them recover and will help even more in years going forward. But there's more around that. There's family issues. There's, hey, maybe this is a cue for me to get my act together because my best friend Joe had a little issue. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Cook, of course, can speak to the latest and greatest in cardiovascular prevention stuff, too. Give us a buzz.
Yeah, 1-800-748-7875 and 660-465-7225.
That seed busted his ass for you and me. You're gonna harvest moon in Kansas. They'd understand why God made those flyover states.
If you're traveling over the Labor Day holiday and need emergency assistance, call the Missouri State Highway Patrol at 1-800-525-5555 or star 55 on a cellular phone. The call is free and an officer will respond as soon as possible. Use the patrol's emergency line to report traffic crashes, emergencies, drunk drivers, aggressive driving, vehicle problems, hazardous material spills, or any criminal activity. Remember, call 1-800-525-5555 or star 55 in an emergency. A message from Sergeant Brent Bernhardt of the Missouri State Highway Patrol and KMEM.
Mid-American Energy is putting the power to achieve greater energy efficiency in the hands of home and business owners. Both benefit from the incentives and rebates Mid-American offers on new select energy-efficient equipment. These rebates not only can lower the cost of equipment and installation, they also allow customers to enjoy lower energy bills sooner than expected. Visit MidAmericanEnergy.com to find out how to save some green. Energy efficiency is in our hands with Mid-American Energy. Obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
The reality is, my helmet saved me.
Yeah? And my boots are made for riding, heavy duty with no-slip soles.
The reality is, other drivers can see me so much better in bright colors.
It takes balance to ride my motorcycle. The smallest amount of alcohol can throw that off.
The reality is, wearing your helmet, protective riding gear, and being 100% sober will help keep you safe. Ride with reality. Brought to you by the Iowa Department of Public Safety, Governor's Traffic Safety Bureau.
Try the General Store weekdays with Dave Bowden from 9:06 to 10 a.m. right here. Our two-station simulcast means we get an average of close to 50 calls every weekday. Hundreds of people might be interested in your items, and who knows, you may even find a bargain. Call Dave Bowden on the General Store at 1-800-748-7875 or 660-465-7225.
Berkman hits a fly ball deep, left center field, way back toward the pin. It's a goner.
Man, John, I love it when you call a home run. When I hear that, I know my birds are starting to roll.
Thanks, Mike. With Holiday, Freeze, and Berkman back, the ball is going to fly.
Well, get those pipes ready, big boy.
As the Cardinals go for 12 in 12, listen all season long.
On your sports leader in the tri-state, KMEM Memphis, Missouri.
Listen to these Cardinal fans up here, man.
I feel a shiver run up my spine. I feel the warmth of her hand in mine. Ooh, I hear laughter in the rain, walking hand in hand with the one I love. Ooh, how I love the rainy days
And we're back. It's 20 after the hour on Healthy University Tuesday mornings on KMEM. And joining us by the long lines, Dr. Michaela Cook with the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, who trained at Harvard and Chrissy Siegfried, our very own supervisor of cardiac rehab. And Chrissy, you tell me that a lot of the information that you have comes from Harvard, a lot of patient education materials.
Yes, we get a lot of our information packets through the Harvard Medical School Patient Education Center. They cover varying topics for high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease, depression, all of our main topics that we cover through our educational services.
And Nikayla, even though we've made a dent over the last decade or two in terms of cardiovascular health and mortality and so forth, it's still the number one leading killer. We have a long way to go, don't we?
Indeed, we've made a lot of progress, but I think we do have room for improvement. And I think one of the major risk factors that we've seen on the rise in the United States is, of course, that of being overweight or obese. And so I think there's a lot of room for improvement and a lot of things that we can do in order to try to continue to reverse the trend of heart disease and heart disease death in the United States.
It's a big problem in Missouri, I know. The recent figures on obesity came out, and I know that Missouri never fares super well in that. I mean, we're not in the Mississippi category, but it's a problem everywhere to varying degrees. How bad is the problem in our state?
You know, in Missouri, when we actually look at heart disease death rates, and we rank it according to the different states in the country, we find that Missouri ranks number 43, and number 43 means that it's actually going from the as a higher risk. Relative, only 7 other states have higher risk than Missouri in terms of heart disease deaths. And when you look at obesity itself, we know that women have more of a problem in Missouri than men with being overweight or obese, with 58% of women in Missouri being overweight or obese. So we do have a lot of room to move in the state specifically, and I think that maybe some of the tips that we can talk about today will help to motivate some of your listeners in terms of thinking about their risk for heart disease.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they hear the talk and they hear the First Lady giving zucchini fries the other day to a school group, and I think that's great, setting a great example. But my goodness, Dr. Cook, I mean, we've got tenderloins the size of fried tenderloins, the size of Frisbees up here, and they're so good and they're so scrumptious. I mean, it's really, it's tough, and everyone has their regional favorites, It's really tough to turn that ship around, isn't it?
It really is, and I think that it's the combination of what we do with our diet as well as what we do in terms of exercise and activity in order to try to burn calories and maintain a healthy weight. But we know that healthy weight is so important, not just for cardiovascular health, but also for our overall health, and that it's just important to think about every time that you're eating is that you're making healthy choices, that you're choosing a diet that's low in saturated fat and trans fat, low in sodium and cholesterol, and that you're getting in that moderate intensive activity that every day, if possible. 30 minutes a day is what we ask people to do because it really can remarkably reduce your risk.
Now, Chrissy, you see a lot of folks who have had their event because maybe they didn't heed the warnings about smoking or, overeating or eating the wrong things. There's a certain component, of course, we'd all agree, that's family. You can't change your parents. You can't pick your parents. So there's a big family component as well. Do you find that people change their lifestyle habits pretty successfully, after some coaching and after they've had a little wake-up call?
Absolutely. It's not a short-term basis with the cardiac rehab program. When they are enrolled, they come in anywhere between 10 to 18 weeks, which gives them a long time to change their lifestyle and make lifestyle modifications and choices.
Typical American fix, though, they want it done in 48 hours, right?
Right. And I always tell everybody that it has taken you 60 or 80 years to get to this point. I'm not going to fix it in one day. So.
But I think, especially, I know, I'm an OBGYN, and thankfully, not a lot of my patients have had terrible cardiac things, but we see a lot of women who have problems that, like we saw Rosie O'Donnell, it's being reported, had a heart attack last week, and she sort of ignored the symptoms. Many women have atypical symptoms. I'll ask you first, Chrissy, and then you, Dr. Cook. Are you seeing more women patients? Are you seeing more concern maybe in the families of your guy patients, the women in their families?
Yes. There are quite a few women in the community that do have heart issues, and many of them did not have the typical symptoms. And that is, most commonly, women do not have the crushing chest pain, and they have maybe just indigestion or shoulder pain. pain. Those are things that they need to pay attention to their bodies and watch for those type of symptoms.
And Dr. Cook, I know one of your interests is, of course, is gender disparities in cardiovascular disease. That's really, I think, again, we're doing a better job of educating that, but a lot of women think, oh, that's a guy problem. Only guys have heart disease. Not true, is it?
Not true at all. In fact, as you mentioned earlier in the show, that heart disease is the number one killer of in Americans in general, but also the number one killer of women. And if we want to put kind of some numbers to this, if we think about those women who died in 2008 from heart disease, who died overall, 1 in 4 of them died from heart disease. So it is a number that really does hit home when you start to think about the women around you, and that, really anybody can be affected by heart disease. Well, we know that heart disease awareness among women is increasing. And over the past 12 years, the gap in terms of men and women understanding their risk for heart disease has really narrowed. But what we need to do is now take action, now that we're more aware of the risk for heart disease in women. And we know that if you're more aware, that you're more likely to take action. And so that's really what we want to push in some of our activities in terms of educating the public about their risk for heart disease. And, here at the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, we have a campaign called the Heart Truth Campaign. It's symbolized by a red dress that really just says it doesn't matter what you wear, you could be at risk too, and it's important that you take your risk seriously.
Dr. Cook, one of the things I've wondered about is, for years, the men who were having symptomology of a acute heart event for maybe 3 or 4 days prior to it had a tendency to ignore it, or else if they couldn't ignore it, then they tried to justify it somehow or another. Seems like so that they actually did not have to go to the ER to see the ER doc, and I don't know if that was fear or exactly what all it is. But do you see women doing the same thing in recent times as the men used to do?
I think that's a really good analogy, because we do see that women are very busy caretakers in their family, and often they're very concerned about making sure that everyone else is taken care of, and their responsibilities at home kind of hinge with them. And so we do have some reports that actually tell us that women are more likely to make sure that a family member or a friend gets to the emergency room with certain symptoms than they are themselves. So we really just encourage women to understand that we really can't be caretakers of the rest of the people in our lives if we don't take care of ourselves first, and that if you feel symptoms, it's most important to call 911, not to drive yourself there, not to rationalize why you don't need to go, but let us, the physicians in the emergency room or at the hospital, be the ones to help make the decision as to whether or not this is your heart or not, and not you to take it in your own hands to make that decision.
Well, I think there's a lot of stigma that still some people hold, and I would say that maybe applies to folks born, before 1960, 65, that, wow, once a person has a heart attack, they're sort of a cardiac invalid. You got to take it easy. You can't go outside and enjoy life. You can't go fishing and hunting, and life's really sort of, I remember the days when once someone had a heart attack, they were really, but that's really not true. The good news is, with cardiac rehab, like Chrissy does, and centers around the country, people can be restored, and they can really resume, in many cases, a very normal and prolonged and prosperous life.
Indeed, I certainly agree, and that what we have seen over the years are marked advancement in not just the diagnosis of heart disease, but also the treatment and management of heart disease. So we are finding that we're able to treat and to allow people to get restored to a healthy lifestyle and work on trying to prevent another. And all of these things are highly important to make sure that you can live the healthiest life possible. But we also want to make sure you're aware of the risk, because we know that on some occasions we don't have an opportunity to intervene, and we want to be sure that we have that opportunity to try to treat you with the advanced therapies that we know we've developed over time.
Are people pessimistic, Chrissy, when they come into you? I'm thinking of the guy, us guys. If you got the new car and the first dent you have from the shopping cart down at the Walmart, it's like, honey, I think I need a new car. My car is not the same as it used to be. You know what I mean? Guys are that way. You get a little dent in your ego, i.e. your heart.
Absolutely.
And you get depressed. I mean, depression is a big issue among guys. What are some of the things you can do to help encourage and reassure folks that, they're going to be just fine if they just follow the program?
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I notice a lot with people is that when they come in, they have very low energy. Some of that can be contributed to depression. Mm-hmm. Depression makes people low on energy, low self-esteem. Mm-hmm. They come in, they do have less energy because of the physiology of a heart attack. Mm-hmm. But when they come in, we start off on a very slow and easy exercise plan. But by the end of the program, they're working up to 50 to 55 minutes of exercise. And after 18 weeks, they cannot believe where they're at. Their head is held high. It always seems like they come shuffling in and they walk out holding their head up high.
Okay, so that's the good news. Don't be afraid if you're having symptoms, even if you think you ate too much meat lovers pizza and it's just indigestion. If it's something in any way, if it crosses your mind that it may be something else, just get into the room into the ER, because as we say, time is muscle. And we want to be able to get at you and treat you and evaluate you and so forth. Can you hang with us for another segment, Dr. Cook?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Great. Dr. Nikayla Cook is with us. And if she doesn't have her own radio program, she ought to get one.
She
should. Has a fabulous radio voice.
Very good.
I think there's an NPR station somewhere near you looking for you, Dr. Cook. And also joining us, Chris Siegfried. And these ladies really bring a positive news. There are great preventative messages. There's great diagnostic and treatment messages, and we're bringing them to you today on Healthy You. We invite your phone calls at 465-7225.
And 1-800-748-7875.
Lots more coming up.
Are you pregnant or think you might be? It's common to feel confused, scared, or overwhelmed. The choices you face now are not easy ones, and Memphis Area Pregnancy Care Center is available to help you. Our trained pregnancy consultants truly care about you and are dedicated to helping with decisions about pregnancy and other related concerns. Come in for a free pregnancy test and learn about options and help available to you. All of our services are free and confidential. Give Memphis Area Pregnancy Care Center a call at 660-465-7179.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. It's like tiny nails in the air poke my lungs. I start to cough. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital.
Today, 1 out of 13 children suffer from some form of asthma, accounting for nearly 1/3 of all emergency room visits.
I feel like I'm choking. It's kind of like an elephant is on my chest. A little whistle sound comes out when I breathe.
But while your child may suffer from asthma doesn't have to make your child suffer. There are simple ways you can prevent your child's next attack. To learn more, call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. That's 1-866-662-8822. Log on to www.noattacks.org or call your doctor, because even one attack is one too many.
I feel like a fish with no water.
Brought to you by the EPA, the Ad Council, and this station.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Getting support from friends online kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
Instead of smoking after I ate, I'd get up and take a walk.
I missed having a cigarette in my hand, so I'd hold a pen or a straw, anything.
Until I knew I wouldn't give in to temptation, I spent more time with my friends who didn't smoke.
I went to places that were smoke-free.
I didn't stay quit the very first time I tried.
I kept on trying, and I learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
I quit.
I quit.
I quit.
We did it, so can you.
You can quit.
For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
A foggy day in London town had me low, had me down. I have viewed the morning with such alarm. The old British Museum.
Now, Chrissy Siegfried, if I have the big one and I come to cardiac rehab, will you play Michael Bublé for me? It'll get me motivated?
Absolutely.
And we're back with Dr. Nikayla Cook, medical degree in public health, fellow of American Cardiac College. Dr. Cook is a medical officer, clinical applications and preventions branch in the Division of Cardiovascular Sciences at National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, which is part of the National Institutes of Health. And then we're also here with Chrissy Siegfried, RN Supervisor, Scotland County Hospital Certified Cardiac Rehab Center. And Dr. Cook, I was going to ask you about some of the disease-related research that Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute is doing. Can you talk to that for a moment?
Oh, certainly. Here at the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, we sponsor a lot of the biomedical research that occurs related to cardiovascular disease. And we have research that spans looking at population trends in cardiovascular disease, and some of our studies where we have samples throughout the country that really kind of try to identify what are the risk factors for heart disease, as well as some of the trends in the prevalence of heart disease, and how we're doing in terms of controlling risk factors and that sort of thing. But we also have research that really focuses on the diagnosis and management of heart disease.
Okay.
So we do get into the details of exactly what's the best way to diagnose someone with heart disease and what's the best way to treat them once they're diagnosed. I
have to ask you a question. A week or so ago, a study came out that said that now they looked at folks who had atherosclerosis, and now they're coming out and saying, it was all over the medical and national news wires, eggs are bad for you. Now eggs are bad for you again. Could you, Nikayla Cook, Chrissy Siegfried, I love eating organic pasture-fed chickens, eating the pasture larva, not in the chicken. I love the real McCoy with yolks as bright as both your smiles. Please tell me I can have an egg and not kill myself. What's the straight poop on that? Go ahead, Nikayla. You're up first.
So I would say that it's all about balance. And, you know, one of the things that we talk about is when you're trying to kind of eat for your heart health, that it's really important that you're making good choices on a regular basis. And so if you decide that I'm going to have eggs one day, then you may want to make a different choice the following day. It's about balancing your cholesterol and your fat intake and making sure that overall you're not exceeding limits. And so moderation is something that I think is an important concept, and so it's not always that you can't have one thing or another, but make sure that you're thinking about the balance overall in moderation with the choices that you make.
Yes, many professionals recommend that you only have 2 whole eggs a week.
What?
You only get 2.
What?
It's actually the yellow part. Egg whites are much better for you. They're much lower, for the cholesterol factor. So.
But isn't it really true that there's been a little bit of an overemphasis on dietary cholesterol, because we make most of our cholesterol from fats in our diet, right?
From your liver. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. Well.
But any cholesterol comes from any animal product.
Yeah.
So if you have a diet that's high in animal products, meat, eggs, it's going to raise your total cholesterol level.
I'd rather just take more Lipitor. I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's all good news. Now, the other news that I wanted to talk about with both of you is that there's been plenty of stories over the last 6 to 12 months and beyond that say that, if you're not an exerciser, but you're working up to it and you're starting to get on that 30 minutes a day, like Dr. Cook said, and I know Chrissy would reflect that as well, that even when you're at work, you can make a difference in your overall health, your longevity. maybe your cardiovascular health. You tell me, Nikayla. Just by standing, if you're at a computer job, stand at your computer. Put down the remote. Just moving through the daily activities of life rather than sitting on your rump is a net positive. True or false?
I would have to say true, that the recommendations are to get that 30 minutes of moderate intensity activity, but every bit of movement that you can do is actually a movement towards better health. So, we talk a lot with people that are sedentary, and we say if it's possible to take that phone call for work while you're walking around the block. That's a great thing to do. Get moving and do it. Walk up and down the stairs at work. Park further away and make that extra effort to walk a little further to the stores that you go to or running your errands. And, think about the way in which you commute to work. And we know that if there are opportunities for you to have to walk a block, take a metro or a bus and walk further, or even if you just want to try to get out in the middle of the day and enjoy some of the sunshine, all of those things really are moving towards better health. And often will motivate you to start to be more active and to get to that moderate level of intensity if you're not already there.
All right. And do you encourage your folks, Chrissy, to just keep moving, even if they're not, maybe they're in that initial fatigue ability? I'm not quite ready for the third, and obviously physiologically they're not quite ready, but every little bit helps?
Every little bit helps. A lot of people say, I just do not have time in my day for 30 minutes of exercise. They can break it up. They can do 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night. That's a good start.
Yeah.
So.
I know, Chrissy, but it's pretty pathetic to see you having people drooling, following you with a little candy bar as you're walking down the hallway saying, follow me, keep moving. I'm kidding. She's not doing that. Okay, now you've told me I can't have my egg sandwich on whole grain rye. Are you going to tell me I can't have a beer or a glass of red wine with it, Nikayla Cook?
I'm not going to tell you that you can't have anything. You'll never invite me back.
No, we'll have you back. I'm kidding you. You know that.
Yes, but indeed, it's something. Again, we're going to go back to this moderation. So, when we talk about alcohol intake and as it relates to heart disease, one of the things they say is that men tolerate alcohol differently from women, and so it's important to understand kind of what the average recommendations are for alcohol. And on average, we mentioned that 5 to 7, so a glass of something a week is often okay, but you want to make sure that when you're making those choices that, again, you're thinking about caloric intake with those choices, as well as the fact that you don't want to exceed limits that may actually have damage to your liver or your stomach or other types of problems that you may have, and you want to look for interactions with any medications that you may be on, whether it's blood pressure medicines or cholesterol medicines, etc. And we have seen of recent times that there has been some mixed evidence around red wine for heart health. And so if you're going to make a choice for alcohol, one thing we say is think about red wine as one possibility, but make sure that you're looking at things in moderation.
Which is why I planted a vineyard at my place this year, because Dr. Cook said that I could have a little red wine. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, wait a minute. You already planted the vineyard. We're just now talking to Dr. Cook.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been looking for justification. Okay, another question a lot of people are asking. You see these advertisements for the electronic cigarettes. Okay, there's a little nicotine in there, but you don't get all the tar and all the smoke and everything. Chrissy, I'll ask you first. Do you have an opinion on the electronic cigarettes where the guy says, you don't get anything but smoke vapor? What do you say?
Well, I say anything that is going to help motivate somebody to quit smoking, go for it. Smoking is the number one lifestyle choice that people can change on their own. There's many ways to do a smoking cessation group. There's support groups. You can go to talk to your doctor. There's medications.
But they still get some nicotine. And Dr. Cook, that's not the very best thing either, right?
And Dean, it's not the very best thing, but again, I think going to what Chrissy mentioned is that if it's that important step in terms of helping someone to quit smoking and they're moving towards being nicotine-free, that would be the ideal situation, because I completely agree. Smoking is the one risk factor that is in complete control of the individual that's smoking, and we know that cigarette smoking is not just associated with heart disease, but many other deaths in the United States. 1 in 5 people die related to smoking disease deaths in the U.S. And so it's something that I think if you're going to be able to use a bit of nicotine replacement to move you towards cessation, doing that with a healthcare provider, other counseling interventions, is a really important step towards quitting.
All right. Dr. Cook, before we let you go, I know you have a lot of important things to get to. I have to ask you, one of your real interests in terms of your professional pursuits is comparative effectiveness research. And we heard about that, and we'll hear more about it in terms of the Health Care Act. What exactly is that, and how would it apply to what we're talking about today, cardiovascular disease?
So comparative effectiveness research is when we try to compare different treatments or different strategies for a certain condition in order to see which one provides the best health outcome in a certain situation. So, for example, in cardiovascular disease, some of the things that we have looked at here in the past is particularly if someone comes in with a blood pressure problem, what's the best strategy in which to treat that? And is the strategy that we give a certain medication first or a different medication first or certain medications in combinations? And when you compare those things head-to-head in a research study, then that's comparative effectiveness research. And in fact, we have done lots of that type of research at NHLBI, and one of our large blood pressure trials was such a trial, a comparative effectiveness research study. And that's actually where we learned the benefits of different drugs that we're using for blood pressure management today.
Sounds great. Well, thanks for helping us out with that. I think a lot of people see these long sentences and phrases and don't know what they mean, but this sounds like just good old-fashioned research, finding out, strategy A, strategy B, and which one do we move forward with. So that's fantastic. Nikayla Cook, thank you very much for being with us. You're a great sport, and
thanks, Doctor.
Really appreciate all your information. And hey, if you're ever up in northeastern Missouri, come by. We'll have a glass of red wine and an egg sandwich. Okay.
Thank you for the invitation. It was a pleasure to be with you.
Take care.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
All right. And we're going to come back and talk with Chrissy Siegfried some more and take your phone calls at 465-7225.
And 1-800-748-7875.
Hunter education is required of all Missouri residents born on or after January 1, 1967. Missouri's program has been recognized as one of the best in the country, as over 1 million students have been certified since it became required back in 1987. The course urges students to become aware of safe firearm practices while afield or at home. Each spring and fall, hundreds of courses are offered throughout the state, so find a course near you. This has been Missouri Conservation Agent Gary Miller.
We teach them how to tie their shoes. They teach us how to live our lives. We teach them long division. They teach us how to bank online. Our children will always outgrow us, but for the first time in generations, they may not outlive us. Over the last 25 years, the percent of overweight children aged 6 to 11 has doubled. The percent of overweight teenagers tripled. Obesity kills. Heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, all are linked to obesity, a problem that could be greatly reduced just by having a place to exercise. Right now, people are working hard to put parks and playgrounds where children live, where children will use them. Finding out how you can help is as easy as tying your shoes. Log on to earthshare.org now. A public service message brought to you by Earthshare and the Ad Council.
There's something different about the way kids play sports today. Things are getting serious and highly repetitive. Orthopedic surgeons are seeing an increase in overuse injuries. The injuries caused by overspecialization in one sport. when a young athlete performs the same stressful activities time after time, day after day. Overuse injuries can happen by throwing too many baseballs without enough rest. Overuse can happen in gymnastics, tennis, weight training, even cheerleading and swimming.
Okay, kids, 10 more laps to go. 10 more laps.
You get the idea. Left untreated, overuse trauma to young shoulders, elbows, knees, and wrists may require surgery. If your kids play hard and train hard, make sure you have expert advice for treating and preventing overuse injuries. Visit orthoinfo.org or stopsportsinjuries.org. A public service message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons and the American Orthopedic Society for Sports Medicine.
And we're back. It's 10 till the hour. Talking with Chrissy Siegfried, smiling, beautiful supervisor of the cardiac rehab program. So if you
don't need no credit card to ride this train. That's what Chrissy would probably say to you when you get in there.
Right.
Doctor, what you said a while ago when we were off the air I thought was really neat. People are most receptive to the gospel when they're in the foxhole, and that's kind of where...
And Chrissy's got this wonderful opportunity when people are really beat up.
Boom.
I mean, you're beat up. When you've had a medical event of any type, and you're sort of sorting things out, and you're regrouping, and you're shaking your head going, wow, okay, that's a wake-up call. I hear you.
It was not the event in my life I had hoped to have happen.
And Chrissy's like licking her chops, going, all right, this is my chance, because she cares and wants you to do well. And we were talking about some of the strategies that you're teaching to your cardiac rehab patients, and really everyone in that person's family and the community and everyone listening today could benefit from the same information, right?
Right, absolutely.
Let's start with cholesterol.
Well, with cholesterol, you get a cholesterol panel in which you receive your total cholesterol number, your LDLs, which is your bad cholesterol, and your HDLs, which is your good cholesterol.
I always get this messed up.
As well as triglycerides. And each one of those components has a reason why they're abnormal. The best way that once you get your report, you can ask to make an appointment to see your doctor and discuss what you can do to change these to get them back in normal range. Or you can ask for a dietitian referral from your doctor and see if your insurance will cover it or if you can pay for it out of pocket.
So once you've got an appointment with your doctor and you're in there, I know, because I've talked to you about this. You say now you need to talk to your doctor about these things, about the numbers, and find out what you can. So, LDL, HDL, and tell me something. Does the doctor still use the regimen that they used to use a few years ago, where they actually start you out by putting you on an exercise and diet regimen for a while to see if the good cholesterol will actually increase by itself without medication? Do they still do that, or do they just smack you on the Lipitor? And
it depends on everyone's own personal physician. Mm-hmm. They all have their own regimen, and it also depends on what your overall risks are and how abnormal you are.
Right, absolutely. I know that, like in my family, I'm on like 20 milligrams of Simvastatin every day because untreated my rate is like 383.
Cholesterol?
Yeah.
Total cholesterol, not triglycerides.
No. Total cholesterol, 383, and my wife's is like 386.
Yeah.
So,
HIPAA alert! Go ahead.
No, with those genes, with that genetics in mind, then we have been on top of our kids constantly. Sure. Like, you need to, keep getting that checked and keep watching out for it. But the thing that you can't control is the genetic factor that's involved in whatever people have, and but I know that you get on them pretty hard right from the get-go on modifying lifestyle and changing things about themselves.
Absolutely. Like you said, genetics is one thing you cannot control. Age you cannot control, and sex you cannot control. However, the things you can control is diet modification. Smoking is one of the big things because it knocks down your good cholesterol, which allows your bad cholesterol to build up.
Yeah. That's smoking again.
But you can do, I mean, if you exercise a lot, you can raise your good cholesterol.
When you exercise.
And lower your bad cholesterol.
Absolutely. Anytime you do any lifestyle changes to raise your good cholesterol, it will in turn lower your bad cholesterol.
If you eat cold water fish, salmon, trout, now this is generally, I mean, this applies especially to wild caught fish, or if you take omega-3 fish oils, positive benefits for the heart. Even though the cholesterol may not be perfect in the way it trends, we know that just from an overall comparative effectiveness research-based standpoint, good research says that taking fish oils is a good thing.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. The only thing you do have to watch out for are shellfish. You say cold water fish. There's specific type of fish that are okay to eat. The salmon, tuna.
Well, those are crustaceans, though.
Right. But I just had to clarify
I
this.
know. Actually, the shellfish, like the lobster, which, I love it. Down in Cozumel, you can
especially
get a
when you dip it
lobster
in the
tail for
butter.
$22 at La Casa de Mission. Let me know. I'll give you the inside tip. And you dip it in the butter and all that, right? I mean, it's saturated fat heavy, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, but so you would agree that you can make some dietary modifications, but in many cases that's not enough, and so the medicine is a thing. But what about, I mean, there's patients that say, but, Doc or Chrissy, or, I told my doctor, yeah, my cholesterol's high, but I want to give it another 6 months because I'm going to work on it. I promise, Doc, I promise. The reality on the ground is that, me included, we don't really do what we promise when it comes to lifestyle change very often, do we?
No.
So it is a combination of lifestyle and meds in 99% of the cases.
And a lot of times people have to be on cholesterol medication, not just because their cholesterol's high, but also to keep the plaque that's already in there soft and pliable so that it
keeps it stable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Because the award for a lifetime of lifestyle indiscretion is you get a plaque. Not the kind you hang on your wall.
No. And you wished you did not.
Yeah. And of course, we talked about smoking. We talked about alcohol. We talked about weight loss. And I guess the final thing that I want to mention is, and I think Chrissy would agree with me, when you see Chrissy and listen to her advice or listen to Dr. Cook's advice or get on the NIH website, which is, this particular institute is nhlbi.nih.gov. But if you just go to nih.gov, you can navigate to the Cardiovascular Institute and really get all the latest, greatest news there. The cool thing about this is the research is showing that if you do the right thing for your heart, you're doing the same things to reduce your cancer risk, to reduce your Alzheimer's risk, your senile dementia risk, your colon cancer risk. Bud, have you had the colonoscopy yet?
I can't talk about that right now. It might be a HIPAA violation.
Okay. Well, if you're at the antique fair this week, guys, and you see Bud, you just jab him a little bit. Hey, man, get that colonoscopy. But I mean, it's really low-hanging fruit. If you do what's right for your heart, you're doing a heck of a lot for what's right for the rest of your body.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Overall health will improve dramatically.
Yeah, and given our limitations of time and resources these days, everyone's, what did the guy last week say, running around with their hair on fire at 90 miles an hour?
Yeah.
You want to kill as many birds with one stone as you can.
Right.
And so just start moving, cut down your smoking, eat right. 2 eggs a week.
You can have egg beaters. It's yellow.
Oh, egg beaters. I don't know. And it really does make a big difference. If people would like to, let's say someone is here, they come in, they have a cardiovascular problem, they get transferred out. How do they route themselves back so they can get cardiac rehab at its finest here at Scotland County Hospital?
Well, a lot of times people, if they just have a cardiac cath or if they just have a stent, a lot of times they're only there for the day or just overnight. There's a lot that goes into their visit in the hospital, and the doctor may bring it up about cardiac rehab, but they have so much on their mind they don't remember that portion of it. So the best thing is after they've had a cardiac event, whether it's surgery or heart attack, they should talk to either their family doctor or their cardiologist at their follow-up appointment and ask for a referral to see if they'll qualify.
I don't think a a lot of folks know that we have a first-rate approved cardiac rehab
certified
program.
It's actually nationally certified, which there is not very many in the area that are.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So there. She says as she sits tall and says, good
By
for
the
you.
way, I might have mentioned this. Chrissy and I will be at the nutrition site at Lancaster at Schuyler County Nutrition Site tomorrow at 11:30.
Yeah, so you're going to
stop
be
by.
you're going to be making the rounds, I guess, around many of the various community organizations. Yes. So if you see Chrissy, say hi and say thanks, and we thank you, Chrissy, for being so great a steward of the cardiac rehab show over there, and really, encourage everyone. Listen to Chrissy; she knows what's good for you. Okay. Thanks for being with us on the radio.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. Thanks, Bud. Thanks, Elisa. Thank you all for being here. Remember this week: be well. Share it with someone you love. Have an egg for me and a glass of wine. We'll see you next time.
Let's go get that lobster online.